All right, so welcome to Talkin' Trades. I'm Rut Walker with Union Up, and with me, as always, is Randy Beal, who is the business manager for the Atlanta North Georgia Building Trades, also known as GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. And today we have the pleasure of having Jeff Rogers, who is the administrative director of the Mechanical Trades Institute, and Andy Sumter, who is the executive vice president of the Mechanical Contractors Association of Georgia. Did I get that correct?
You did.
All right.
So we are talking about sort of making the trades available and disseminating the information to high school administrators to talk about young people getting into the trades moving forward. And you guys are having an event that kind of highlights that in March. And I wanted to give you the floor to tell us a little bit about it, what you're trying to get accomplished, and how we can help get the word out.
Okay. We have actually tried a lot of different kind of marketing and events and done a lot of things over the years, and there is a need and a hunger to find out about construction programs. And I've been a part of things where there's been a lot of different industries, but there's never been a specific focus just on construction trades, and never have I seen one on the union trade groups. And so just through conversations with Randy, it was just one of those ideas. We did something similar in April of 2019, where we partnered with the Department of Education, and all different industries came out. Great success. It was such a springboard for us, and we were just kind of just growing and doing all kind of things. And then, of course, like everybody else, COVID wiped us out in March of 2020. So as we're getting ready to go back, I literally had a conversation with Randy at the Corky Kale, and he was just talking about wanting to do more things where all the trade groups come together. And I just pitched the idea to him, and he said, hey, sounds good. So what we're going to do is we have reached out. We're using our partners at the Department of Education, reaching out to teachers, counselors, administrators, post-secondary and secondary, telling them about the union trade opportunities.
Yeah.
So it's been great so far.
And so from a contractor's perspective, what are you trying to get accomplished there? Like, what do you hope will come out of this event?
Well, the trades have been kind of pushed to the side for so long in favor of college education. But there's a lot of kids out there that either don't want to go to college, or they go to college and decide it's not for them. The trades is a great opportunity to start a career, and it's not just a job. I mean, we're talking about a lifelong career with great benefits, great pay, and we're trying to open up doors so that we can educate people on what's available to them. And there are so many great opportunities for these kids that they have no idea about, because the counselors and the administrators, they preach college, and we don't need them to downgrade the trades, because they're so important to our society, and we need them. We need these kids to know that it's available.
Why do you think, and Randy and I have had this discussion before, but why do you think there is such are the counselors incentivized to send kids to college? I mean, why is it that has not? When I was a kid, we had a vocational program at my high school, and that's no longer available. Why do you think that administrators and counselors and whatnot have gone away from that?
Well, I don't know the exact answer, but I can tell you, I've been at Mechanical Trades 9 years, and I came from the public school background. And right when I was leaving, the Georgia Department of Education was coming out with something they were calling, it was the Career Readiness Index. And essentially, that was replacing the old Georgia graduation test. So schools get kind of graded on where their kids are going. So there's a number attached to when they're going different places. And so that's not the motivator, but that's kind of something that's pushing some of this.
Well, so that's
it is, right. Let me say this. So schools are graded on how many kids they put into college. Mm-hmm. And so when you go to move into an area, you look at the school system.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And, it's going to have a grade or whatever the numbers they use. So I've actually talked to legislators over the last couple of years about, let's change that where they get the same performance level if they go to a DOL, Registered Apprenticeship Program, which is 4 or 5 years in length. I don't want the school hurt.
Yeah.
Let's make it even greater, right? And so they should get the same credit. So what happened when I went and did wood shop and all that kind of stuff, Now, with the internet right at your fingertips, you can look at this school system and see if my kid can go to college or not if they go there. So we got to find a way to incentivize the counselors and not penalize the school system.
How has it been received? So let's talk about the event specifically before we get too far into this discussion. It's March 18th, Friday, correct?
Correct.
From when to when?
It's going to be from 9 to 12.
Okay. And so how have the administrators and teachers and counselors been receptive to the invitation so far?
Well, in about 6 weeks, I sent it out, and it was late November. I've had over 70 different organizations register with that's over 120 individuals. So that tells me right there they're interested.
Yeah. They got to be seeing what we see.
Yeah.
I saw one of these things that they get you to scroll through so that you see all the ads, and it was like 10 worst universities for student debt. And it was horrifying how much debt, average, I'm talking average, for a, middle of the road state university. I mean, kids are getting out with 50, 60, 70, sometimes $100,000 in debt. How long? I mean, that's crazy how long it must be to pay something like that. It's like you're almost going to school so that you can get a job so that you can pay back the money that you used to go to school. It's a crazy cycle.
Well, we have enough people with business degrees working as baristas at Starbucks.
Yeah.
We need to go a different direction.
Yeah.
And I want to say this about their facility. I'd like for you to brag. I know we usually don't brag on ourselves. They have an unbelievable facility over there. Talk a little bit about what's your square footage, how many welding booths you have, how many instructors you have, what all that looks like. Where does the instructors come from?
Okay. We're actually in our new facility, moved in it in April of 2019. It is 53,000 square feet. It's an increase of about 30% of where we came from. But the one thing that we focused in on was increase the shop space, because we know the students, the apprentices that are getting in the program, they want to be hands-on. And so we have 20 classrooms, which are nice, but we're really proud about our shops. We've got a 10,000 square foot welding shop with 80 weld booths. We've got 10 plus brazing booths in every shop. Our plumbing, our pipe fitting, and our service shop, it's about 4,000 square foot. So we can get a lot of apprentices on the floor doing stuff. We have nighttime instructors. We range anywhere from 30 to 35, just kind of based on enrollment. All of our instructors are journeymen coming from the field. So they're getting expert knowledge training from their instructor. And the beauty of this is during the day they're working side by side with them. So they're getting training during the day and they're getting training at night.
So what can an administrator, what can a school administrator, counselor, teacher expect when they come March 18th to the Mechanical Trades Institute, and what are you hoping that they walk away with?
Well, we do a lot of presentations, and I wanted to put a little spin on this one. I talk, a lot of our instructors go and talk at schools, but what I want to do is and we're doing this with our school, we're hand selecting some apprentices that can speak and give their testimony.
Yeah.
I believe a student's story is powerful. And so I can tell how good it is all day, and Andy can too, and we do, but I want them to hear from the apprentice. So I've got them from all different crafts speaking. And that was one thing that I've tried to include the other trade groups is get some apprentices. That's what they want to hear from.
Right.
Yeah, we had a program back at Sheet Metal, started in 1991. It was called Youth to Youth. I was the first, it started here in Atlanta. It was first in the country. And I was in the first group of 6 chosen as a third-year apprentice to partake in that. And it was just what you just said. I can speak to someone my own age out on the job a lot better than, I am now, right? The age I am now. So we were actually sent out onto the non-union jobs as workers, undercover, and we were talking to people about the trades. And so it worked out great. That youth to youth or mentor to mentor is a great approach. I think it's awesome. I got a question for Andy. What is the value to the contractor on having skilled labor, first of all?
Oh, I mean, so Jeff and I have talked about this a lot because, and I want to point out the education that these tradespeople get is free. It's paid for by the contractors and their man hours. So, But when they go into the apprenticeship school, they work every day. So these companies, for every hour that these guys are working, they're making a profit. And they're making a profit off their journeyman and their foreman as well. We estimate that their value each year is worth probably about $5,000 or $6,000 in profit for these companies. So you can quickly see the payback on the education is really, really quick for these contractors. And we've also looked at comparable college graduates and how their lifetime salary, it never catches up to the trades because they graduate with all this debt.
Right.
They have to pay that back.
Sure.
And the lines never converge on each other. And the college graduate, unless you're a lawyer, or a doctor, or an engineer, or something like that, they never catch it.
Yeah.
The trades guys, they make a great living and make a great career out of it.
One thing I wanted to point out, and we wrote about this in the Georgia Construction Careers newsletter that went out recently, and that is I think there's too much focus on what the starting pay is versus a starting pay in some other business, right? Because people are they're hurting for people, and there's all sorts of help wanted signs. But my question is, it's not what are you paying me for the hour that I'm there. My question is, what am I getting for the time that I'm trading? Am I able to trade that hour of my time to learn a skill so that I can build on that for the future? Because it's not just where you start. There are guys that come through the trades and go through the apprenticeship program who become foremen, who become supervisors, et cetera. It's not just where you start. It's what are you trading your hour for in exchange for what you're getting?
Yes.
Could you talk about that a little bit? Like the totality of a career in the trades rather than just where do you start?
Yeah. One thing that we try to emphasize is that the apprenticeship is just the starting point. And you can go into the field supervision, management. We even try to say, hey, you can go into training, inspection, those types of things. The UA actually has a nice little setup where when you finish the 5 years of apprenticeship, you're actually earning 30 credit hours of college. And just this year, we've had our first apprentice go on, earn his associate's degree because he has aspirations to go on and get a bachelor's. And so, Andy and I talk about this. To have an apprentice that comes through, knows the field, who then goes on and gets that, he's valuable. Look how valuable that person is because he's knowing both sides of it. So the apprenticeship is just the starting point.
I was just talking in a different trade, but I was just talking to somebody who they're moving toward hanging their own shingle out, right? They came through the apprenticeship program. They became a contractor. That happens as well, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Is that something that you want these? Because I don't think high school counselors and teachers know that. I think they think, oh, well, you're going to go in the trade, and you're going to learn this trade, and that's what you're going to do. It's not. That's just your entry to the door, yeah?
Well, I want to make a point on this. That these guys, they learn their trade, and they sacrifice for 4 or 5 years going to school, working all day, and going to school at night. But there's a huge payback. They don't. It doesn't just end at becoming a journeyman and a foreman, like you said. These guys become project managers. They become BIM operators. They also become business owners. There's so many of our businesses that are run by guys that came up through the trade. They learn, they go out, they learn how to kind of run a business, and you've got college educated guys preparing these other guys to grow and start their own businesses, and we all benefit from that.
And I'm a product of that. I started the apprenticeship in '88, '93 got out of the apprenticeship, began to run work in '94. Was moved into the office at McKinney's in '96 and stayed there until I moved over to union leadership in 2001. So I didn't go to Georgia Tech. I didn't go to University of Georgia. I didn't have a degree. I had practical knowledge of how it worked and had enough personal skills, I guess, to talk on the job, right, and all that. And so was able to make a way into project management. It can happen. It's all about what you want it to be. And I want to ask Jeff, I know because I've talked to counselors, you talk to counselors, and Rut, this is kind of funny, and Andy, I've had teachers and counselors say, I think I'm going to quit my career and come to work in the trades because they didn't know, and I'm sure you've had the same response. Where was you at 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So I guess this question is for Jeff. One of the things that young people, and I know because I have 3 boys, they're interested in this technology, and that's a buzzword. Talk about, and you mentioned, Andy, BIM. There's a lot of that are seeping into trades that you have to learn now. Talk about sort of the technology evolution in the trades and what a young person and a high school teacher can pass on to that student about technology in the trades.
Well, right now, this year is the first year that we're really trying to push more of that. We're having brought somebody in from McKinney's to show Trimble to our guys, just to introduce it. We're not trying to develop them, but when that opportunity comes up on the field, in the job, that they'll say, hey, I've been exposed to that. We've really focused on the BIM, so they're seeing this stuff. We've got instructors that started in the field that have transitioned into the drafting departments. That's another avenue that we want them to know that it's out there.
So BIM is a big buzzword. Would you tell anybody that doesn't know what BIM stands for? BIM.
Okay, that's the building information models, and
right.
So when you look at the computers, all the different things where they overlay and the plans and all that. That's usually what gets people's attentions, the young people. That's what they're used to seeing, kind of the video game like, and that catches their attention. And the younger students catch on really, really fast too.
Yeah, really cool stuff. Almost every job now has iPads on them.
Yeah.
We've got big screen TVs that when you raise a job box, they've got a big screen TV there. They can bring up the BIM models. They're used for fabrication in the shops. I mean, it's high tech stuff. Construction is, it's not getting out the tape measure anymore. It is really high tech stuff. And these high school kids, they need to know that. We've had a guy with one of our contractors. He took a video controller, handheld controller that kids use for video games. He took it and made it where they can use it to manipulate their BIM model. You talk about apprentices on a job, they see that and they want to touch that thing and they want to get on there and start exploring. I mean, just amazing stuff. We've got drones now flying around jobs, giving project managers daily updates back in the office. I mean, it's just amazing stuff that's going on.
And by the way, it takes less training for the young people today to figure out how to use that than it does me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I saw a kid the other day at a restaurant. I had to ask the people, he was almost 2 years old, flipping through YouTube, punching his own videos.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a BIM person in the future.
Absolutely.
Without much training, just grab it and play with it, right? I mean,
and there's a virtual reality component to that as well, where you can see the building. You walk into the building physically, there's nothing there, and you put the BIM headset on, and you can see where the ductwork is and the wiring and all.
Oh, you can have a pre-planning meeting, bring in your foreman, maybe even bring in some of your journeymen with your project managers, and they put the HoloLens on, and they can actually walk through a job before it's ever even constructed. So when they go on that job, they know exactly what it's going to look like. They have a picture in their mind what it's going to look like. Just amazing, cool stuff that's happening in the construction industry right now.
And Rudd, it's not just the counselors we need to convince. I'm convinced the first place we have to start is mom and daddy.
Yeah.
Mom and daddy have to see that, their son or daughter going into the trades is not a failure.
Right.
Because they didn't go to XYZ college. In most cases, son or daughter is going to out-earn their mother or father by the year 4 of apprenticeship.
Yeah.
That's, but, and have a nice pension and nice health and welfare insurance. But it's really, it's not just counselors. Are you welcoming parents to come to this event as well?
Well, on the March 18th day, it's really geared for
educators.
Educators.
Okay.
We have open houses throughout the whole spring that we bring in groups. In fact, this coming up next Friday, we're having an open house with our apprenticeship contest. We're inviting schools. Right now, I've got 6 high schools coming in on buses. Okay, I've had great sponsorship from Andy and MCAG and Local 72, paying for the buses to come out.
Nice.
To come out there. And so what we'll see is I'll have 125 to 140 students come. I'm going to tell them the dates of other open houses, and I love to see them come back with parents.
Yeah.
And so we have some Saturday open houses. Typically, those are student and their parents. I love to see that because when they come back a second time with their parent, I know they're serious.
That's cool.
They're serious.
Yeah, and Randy, you talked about how impressive the school is. When you get parents and students there to see it, they're just amazed because their whole stigmatism about what construction was is gone.
Yeah.
They see, wow, this is what it's all about. I want to be part of that.
So from a promotional standpoint, or the counselors reaching out to them, why would I send my student to your school and not to a technical college?
Great question.
Well, first of all, it's going to be free. Okay, it's going to be free on the training, but they're also getting the experience. They're making money as they're in the program as well. Okay, I like to show a slide in our little presentation of, I show the 4-year school, the debt, and then I show the earning potential in the apprenticeship program. And so over 5 years, we're talking on the low side, it's 160 to 170 over 5 years.
So what I hear you saying is the most effective way to become the best welder is to have weld training during the daytime and the nighttime, not just during the nighttime and then flip burgers during the daytime?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the difference in technical college
Yes.
and what we do in the trades is they're getting it. I always said the books is important. We don't want to downplay that. I learned more on the job and from my journey person than I think I did in school, although actually the school laid the foundation. Yeah. And that person, drove it home. But I just want to draw that distinction because sometimes even students can go to technical college for free. But let's keep in mind they don't have an avenue to get a job.
Correct.
They don't. They're flipping a hamburger. They're really anybody who comes out of technical college training that is wanted to go to Plant Vogel, that's come to sheet metal workers. There's not a one that has passed the test, and yet they went to college for 2 years. Maybe they paid money, maybe they didn't, but they absolutely could not pass the test. That's the value of these programs.
Yeah. And you got to.
I would like to add that we're also inviting the tech schools as well.
Sure.
Because, everybody's situation could be a little bit different. Those that go to tech school can earn credit in the program as well. Most of the time when they come from us, they'll say, man, I wish I'd have known about you before I went. Yeah. But you know what? We're going to take you where you're at.
So that's an important thing, right? So if you're in a technical college, they have an agreement with, they may come in as a second-year apprentice or
if they complete
whatever.
their program, they're getting a year's credit in the apprenticeship program.
That's a good thing. I mean, we're not saying technical college is bad. We're just saying that go this route first. But if you chose that route, this is still an avenue.
Well, and it's the paradigm shift for the parents. I work in the trades, so my children have that I've preached that. Then I have a welder as an older son. He chose not to go to college. He's happy as a clam. He makes great money, etc. Right? But we got to get more parents that can see that as a either or rather than a succeed or fail type thing.
Yeah. And they're starting to. I mean, it's the more events we do like this, it's happening.
Yeah, and the guy will get 2,000 hours annually on the job training, and then 200 hours of schooling. So, the learning doesn't stop. I mean, it's constant.
Continuous.
Right. It never stops.
And the other thing I like to point out that, our training programs and what your counselors will see, and I know you probably brag on this, we're not just some spring up overnight training program.
Right.
How long has UA been doing? UA is United Association of Plumbers, Pipe Fitters, Service Technicians.
Well, the UA, Local 72, has been around for 130 years. Yeah. The apprenticeship program, we're celebrating our 80th anniversary this year.
80 years. So if you want to know how to do apprenticeships, we don't need to think we reinvented the wheel. The wheel's been invented. Need to come to us. We'll tell you how to do it. And then secondly, we're also registered through the Department of Labor and Bureau of Apprenticeship Training, correct?
That is correct.
So we have credentials that back up what we say we are.
Yeah. So you got essentially tuition-free training.
Correct.
You got an 80-year history of applied knowledge. There's not much fluff there. What you learn, you're going to apply. You got on-the-job training. You got a escalated pay scale where you start and can continuously earn more money every year. I'm not sure what the downside is, right?
So let's also say a man and a woman make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's say that as well.
Yeah, good point.
It's a merit-based system, yeah. So to wrap this up, let's talk about the event itself. So tell me the date, when, where, et cetera, and how people can get more information.
The event's called the Apprenticeship Experience. It's going to be on March the 18th from 9 to 12. It's going to be located at our facility, which is 6120 Purdue Drive, Atlanta. and you can go register at our website, mti-jtt.org.
And they also can find a link to the apprenticeship under GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com under the plumbers and pipe fitters or welders tab as well.
And when we broadcast this podcast, we will put all that stuff in the notes as well.
Great.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Yeah,
Good.
thank
Best
you.
of luck for the event, and I look forward to being out there. I'll be out there filming and taking that story to the parents on social media after we finish. And I greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you
Good
for
luck in
having
the
us.
Thank
event.
you.